Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Prep Life Podcast. This is your founder and CEO of Glam Girl Bikini, Amy Enger. And today I am joined by my fabulous co host. I won't judge you for your outfit and your twins gear if you're watching on YouTube. Lee Marie Hostetter. How are you?
Opening day. I'm
Yeah.
so good. I literally forgot that it was opening day and my brother texted me and I was like, perfect. I'm filming a podcast. This is great. So
Yeah.
go
I
the twins.
literally almost wore Royals today, and I don't know why I didn't, but anyway.
If
Uh,
you're not playing the twins, I'll cheer for the Royals. So wherever you are at listening today, opening day team.
That's good. Okay. So today's topic it was brought to us by one of our listeners, Tammy Condra. So thank you for that, Tammy. I want to read her question and then kind of what sparked for like our topic today. So basically it says, I have a question for you. If you were to choose between someone coming to you for a transformation slash prep who is about 30% plus body fat with minor health issues and challenges, would you prefer them or would you prefer someone who is more than 12 weeks from stage ready? And who do you want to work with? And she wanted both you and I to kind of chat about this. And I feel like this is a great question because for me, and the short answer that I gave her, we'll give the long answer to this as we go through. But I feel like anyone that's open to changing their life and that's willing to work and they are coachable and they're open to learning on how to get there. To me, those are my favorite clients. So it doesn't matter like where you're starting. I mean, I've had every single kind of client, transformation clients, people that have to lose 60 pounds, 80 pounds, whatever it is. It's all about your timeline. So if you're willing to put in the dedication and the commitment, then you're the client for me. So basically, what we're going to kind of go over is what is our ideal client? What's our ideal online client in this space? And we're going to talk a little bit about seasoned competitors, beginners. So they're just, they've never competed. So do you want to kind of take it from there, Lee? And we'll kind of go back and forth about some things that we look for or that we like to see in a client.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to throw in as well with seasoned competitors. Like I had a client that came to me like 6 weeks out from her show, but she had been in prep for like a year. So like that's what we mean, like seasoned clients that just they're ready for the show, but they just need a different, like they come to us for various reasons, needing a coach. But also seasoned gym goers and athletes, but maybe you've never competed, but you've been going to the gym, you're super fit, you have a lot of muscle, you have a lot of knowledge, that versus somebody that's just getting into fitness or has the transformation lots to lose. So maybe you haven't competed, but you've been in the gym for years. And so you would kind of fall under that category usually. But we're just going to go through, we've got 6 points and we're going to talk about the pros and why we love getting these points with seasoned competitors and why we love getting them with newbies and
Mhm.
the beginners. So point one is commitment and work ethic. So for the seasoned competitor clients, they are going to follow a plan with precision. You're going to be able to give them a plan and they know exactly how to follow it with training, with nutrition, with recovery. They understand that those things are non-negotiable versus lifestyle. You can kind of negotiate as long as you get in 80% of your workouts or 80% of your nutrition. They understand that when you get a prep plan, all of these little tiny little points, your step goal, your recovery, your water, your sleep, those things need to be hit with precision. And a seasoned competitor already understands that. So you can kind of just hand them the plan and know they're going to execute it. They are prioritizing their posing. They know about seeing lines, seeing conditioning. They maybe aren't focused entirely on the scale. They know that it's about your appearance and how you're doing with that. And then they understand peak week and how we make adjustments with that. And then they also take responsibility for the execution without needing constant motivation from a coach. So this is really good for an online coach because we we take communication very seriously. And especially as you get closer to show, I'm always encouraging my athletes, if you have any question, ask me, because the answer is crucial the closer we get to show, even if it seems unimportant. So always ask. But if you have a coach that you are only checking in with once a week or something like that, you need to be able to have that responsibility for executing the plan every single day without us checking on you. Hey, did you do your cardio today? Hey, did you train today? Hey, did you hit your macros? I'm checking your MyFitnessPal diary every single day. And so a seasoned competitor doesn't need that kind of overshadowing coach. And so being an online client is a little bit easier when you know how to do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And so I'll take beginner clients with their commitment and work ethic. So things that we're also looking for is that they do follow the plan and execute, but that they're also very realistic about the amount of learning that they're going to experience. It's going to be a huge learning curve. And that's not just the things about specific to prep, it's how you interact with your everyday people around you and your environment and how you adjust with your career and your family and your friends. And so they just have to be very committed to getting the foundation of those good habits, before, kind of jumping the gun on advanced strategies. I have, for some reason, I have like quite a few new, like brand new people to the sport. And I find that sometimes I have to kind of like pull back on them and be like, okay, we're getting a little too like far ahead of ourselves, like
Mhm.
into the weeds because they're researching, and they're figuring out all
Yeah.
these like little nuances and things. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
we got to get the foundation. We got to build that foundation so that, when we put the decorative touches on something,
Mhm.
that's going to look a little bit different for a newer person. So it's really important to get those basics down and that they're consistent with that. And so they're constantly, you know, very consistent with all of their behaviors and they're not trying to take any shortcuts or, quick fixes and things like that.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so point two, let's bounce back and forth because I want to hear your take on some of the advanced clients
Okay.
too. So point
Okay.
number two, why don't you take the advanced, honest, and precise communication?
Yeah, so they're going to provide us with a very detailed check-in. They're going to have the right lighting. We're not going to have to hound them and coach them about how to use a diva ring or how to not put the camera towards a light source and, making sure that they have accurate weight at the right amount of time during right in the morning when you've gone to the bathroom, that they're giving us detailed biofeedback. So we have a lot of questions on our intake form every week as part of our check-in. One of the reasons why I designed the portal the way that I did is that I was finding that I was having to ask so many questions, follow-up questions when I used to email. And now I just have every single question. And the more my clients can fill that out, those advanced competitors know that I like a lot of detail. And so the more you can give me, the better off I am to best serve you. So the people that just put like good, yes, no, like leave fiber blank or leave like, whatever it is. We have so many different things like digestion, hormones, supplements. Anytime they give me good detail, I'm just going to be able to better help them. And I am very detail oriented person. So I really appreciate it when people give me that. And then when they're very open and honest about communicating concerns and struggles, I think I can only help you with what I know about you. So if you keep something from me, then I'm not going to be able to best serve you. And ultimately, you want to get the most for your coaching. And I keep my roster very small because I really dig into people's like lives basically. I don't want to be that coach that has hundreds of people. Um, I just recently had a couple clients that were old clients that had kind of tested the waters elsewhere and like they came back to me and one of their things that they said was we always felt like you like cared or that you would like if you wouldn't hear from us, you'd kind of like reach out and stuff like that. So I pride myself on making sure that I don't take on too many clients so that I can best serve you. So I want you bringing in all of the communication, all of the things so that I can really best help you. and just being really transparent about like kind of supplements that you're taking. If you're taking any PEDs, like I would really like to know about that kind of stuff. I don't want people to like leave anything for me to guess about, you know? So anyway,
Yeah. Absolutely. So then on the beginner side with the honest and open communication, we want you to ask questions if you're confused and not try to guess. So feel free to message us. If I have someone that's totally new, it's almost like the same as someone that's really close to show. Like if you are not sure, reach out and ask. There's no dumb questions. And prep is a lot different than just doing a lifestyle cut. And so there are a lot of questions like, can I have this? Can I have that? Can I have this 0 calorie thing? Is this actually 0 calories? That type of thing. Or I'm confused about this movement in the gym. My gym doesn't have this machine. What can I do instead? Always reach out and ask so that we can kind of gauge where you're at as well. And then providing the honest check-in updates. I think this is huge with beginner clients because we do want to know everything. And so if you feel like you didn't do well, I love that we have kind of a range of how do you think you did this week because it gives us an idea of where your head is at. But we also want you to feel successful, but we need all the feedback. We need all the truth. We need all the gritty details. If you went off of your macros, that's like hearing you say that and telling me exactly what you ate is great. That's progress. That's
mhm.
good. That's being a good client. Even though you didn't follow your macros, it's better than just saying, "Oh, I messed up this one day, but I got right back on track." It's like, "No, I need to know everything you messed up in." That is
Yeah,
making you a good client. So over communication, being honest, not being scared to tell us those things because we really honestly want to know and we want to go back and figure out why and maybe something with our plan isn't quite accurate for you or wouldn't be beneficial for
right.
you. We can make those little changes so that next
Yeah.
time it's easier for you because prep is hard enough.
Oh, you cut out. Somehow it's like mute on your end.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, there we go. Now I can hear
Oh.
you. Um, yeah, to add to your points, so we have a win section, and we added that at the last minute when I was designing the portal. I got feedback from the other coaches too, and we feel like a lot of times as females, a lot of our clients are really hard on themselves, and they tend to look at sometimes, especially when you prep goggles, you kind of like can find yourself lending to a negative headspace, which is something we don't want. So we always make our clients point out a win for the week so that they can think about, you know, things that they did well. And they have to at least give us one example there. And then, like you said, we have the deviations area too. And that can be a lot of different things, not just food, but it just helps us with data so that we can troubleshoot and kind of adjust accordingly. And like you said, if maybe the plan's just not working for you and driving, and so you need, you know, a different kind of workings of your plan. As far as the next bullet point we have, it's trust and coachability. So, do you want me to take the advanced or do you want to take the advanced on this one?
I'll do the advanced and
Okay,
I
I'll
want
do
to
the
hear you.
beginners then.
So trust and coachability. So for an advanced client, we're looking for somebody that understands the process and avoids second guessing coaches' decisions. This is different than if you want to know the why. I think an advanced client is really good at not just saying, okay, I'll do it, but they do really want to know why, the why behind what we prescribe, which I think is really good because I think you should be able to ask any prep client, client in prep, any athlete why they are doing what they're doing, and they should be able to tell you why, whatever it is, nutrition, supplement routine, rest, cardio, all of those things, they should be able to know why that they're doing that and relate to that on stage. And that's an indication of good coach communication too. And then they know when to push and when to pull back, trusting in structured off seasons. This is huge for an advanced client. They've been on stage, they've gotten judges' feedback, they understand the purpose of a structured and coached off season and working with someone that can take them through that and take them help them mentally but also make the adjustments to their figure that they need in the off season And then someone that doesn't expect a major change weekly unless it's truly necessary. So this is great in the off season. Often you're not making changes every week. Often it's just accountability, and we might make little changes, but we might not. It might just be let's keep going, let's keep pushing versus when you get closer to a show, you do get changes usually every week, and that's when it's just kind of fun, and you see changes in cardio increasing or food maybe getting cut or changes in your workouts or whatever. But especially in the off season and when you're far out, you often don't need changes every single week. You need consistency, and an experienced client will know that.
Yeah. So trust and coachability with a beginner, they understand that progress takes time and avoids chasing trends. They resist the urge to compare their journey to experienced competitors. This is one where I find even the ones that aren't super, super advanced, but they've had a couple of shows under their belt. Maybe they haven't done a national show. They're kind of in that limbo where they've done a couple of shows, so they have some experience, but they're still kind of like beginners in terms of, the sport. I find that there's a lot of comparison, like, why am I not moving as fast? And especially like natural athletes when they're comparing themselves to people with PEDs because their journey is going to be a lot different. So I just think it's important to, I never want to say like you should ever trust a coach blindly because you are the captain of your ship. Like, your body. So don't get this confused with us being like, oh, just blindly trust the process. You should never do that. You should always feel safe in your space, like you said, to ask questions, especially for a beginner. And then feel free to, always before you hire the coach, maybe go over, at least listen to maybe like their podcast or ask other competitors what their philosophies are, just so that you know that your philosophies kind of jive. I think that intertwined with the trust piece, just knowing that you have the same philosophies is important. So, doing that without halfway jumping ship and like following someone else's advice, maybe a person at the gym. I think newbies can sometimes get like overwhelmed, and then they'll hear somebody say something about like their journey and kind of start to try something different that the coach isn't really recommending. So if you're feeling those feelings, just what I encourage you to do as a client, the best thing you can do is just talk with your coach about it. Have them walk you through why they don't do XYZ thing that someone else at the gym is recommending that you do. Have them tell you their reasoning, and then I think you'll have better buy-in. You'll be able to follow and execute the plan. I know when I understand something, I'll go all in on it. It's just like when there's that gray area. So don't be afraid of your coach. Ask the questions.
I love that. Okay, so point four, I'm gonna bounce it back to you because you're taking
Okay.
over oh wait, is it point four?
Professional and
Yeah.
professionalism and respect. So, with advanced competitors, they respect the coach's time by being punctual with check-ins. So, I had mentioned that I had chased a couple people, which, it's not as often, but sometimes people will fall off, especially in improvement season. You kind of have to just like kind of bring them back in, right? So, but we like it when you check in on time. That way we have all of our check-ins. We usually give like a cutoff in the morning just so that when we come up to the computer, they're kind of not filtering in all day. That's just easy for the coach to kind of time block and get back to you. And so I always tell my clients, like, if they don't check in by 9 a.m. on Central Standard Time or 7 a.m., depending on what one it is, what day of the week, that, you know, I always like to get back to you within 24 hours, but there might be some delay if you send it later in the day, just because I've blocked out a certain chunk of time where I'm going to respond to check-ins and things like that. So, and then just understanding the coaching relationship is a partnership. It's not a dictatorship. So, as I mentioned before, this is a working relationship. We both need to communicate. And sometimes, especially with advanced competitors, I just like will do things and thinking that they kind of already know why I'm doing it. And then they kind of have to put me in check and be like, hey, like, can you explain the reason why we're doing this? Which I'm totally fine with. But just remember that, like, don't just you know, follow things willy-nilly. Make sure you're having a conversation and then just avoid program hopping or taking any outside advice unless discussed with the coach. I think a lot of people, especially in the competitor space, can kind of see like the grass is greener sometimes and think that because like you may not be changing, like it's time to jump ship. But I think having like that communication before you get to that point is really important and giving that coach feedback so that they can maybe either talk you through it and maybe it's not the right fit, but I think it's important to kind of like, especially when you're in the advanced level, to just kind of talk through that.
Mhm.
It is a small community, so it's,
Yeah.
you know,
I actually
maybe I
don't.
did did I do the beginner one? I think I did.
No, you did the right one. I actually don't
Okay.
have the beginner one, but I think it's kind of the same, pretty much the same thing that we're looking for in whether you're advanced or a beginner. Being punctual with check-ins is really important. Or if you have something going on, you need to switch your check-in to let us know. That's really, really important, especially when you're in prep. Just to respect our time because we do schedule you out and like it's not like an appointment like with a personal trainer. So it's not like but for us being an online coach, this is our like we often do have our days scheduled out and we want to get back to you with that timely manner. So to understand, maybe it's your first time working with an online coach, that check-in needs to be in by that time so that we can get back to you in a timely manner, especially when you're in prep because those changes might make a huge difference and we want to get back to you with those changes.
Yeah.
And that's just a good point. So point five.
Patience and adaptability. You want to take advanced competitors on that one?
Sure, yeah. So advanced competitors, we are looking for competitors that understand that improvements take seasons and not just one prep. So this is kind of in it for the long haul. If you're advanced and you've done some competitions, you have some under your belt, you should understand this, that you might go through a prep and do a few shows, and then you need to go into an improvement season to make those improvements. And you're willing to adjust strategies based on the judge's feedback and your progress. And so your coach we are coaching you through an improvement season according to what the judges told you because honestly it all boils down to what the judges want to see. If you're in prep, you're competing in a sport, it is not necessarily what you think looks best on your body. It's literally all about what the judges want to see on you and they're comparing you to everyone else. And hopefully, if you have a few national shows under your belt or even pro shows, you know the top judges and what they want to see on you, and they know you and they'll remember you and they'll see that you're putting in that work in the off season. So we're gonna go. It might be some things that might be different than what you think or what you're used to be doing, but you're open to that and you understand also that there are setbacks, there are can changes like maybe a show cancellation or something like that. And you can handle that without panicking, without stressing out. You have composure with that.
Yeah. Patience and adaptability for a beginner is, I think, and I always try to do this on the consultation call because a lot of people don't understand what it actually truly takes to get stage lean, or in the bikini division, actually how much muscle you actually have to have compared to like a fit model. And then just the whole process of building, lean gaining, cutting, all of that. I always want to give them sort of a timeline. So whenever I do the intake, I have them fill out a very detailed form and it has like their weight, their waist, their measurement, hips, all that stuff. But I also have them send me pictures too, so I can see their structure and the amount of muscle they have put and stuff like that. So I try to give them a timeline when I'm on the phone with them on that first call, just because I feel like expectations are crucial. So if a competitor has a realistic timeline, and normally, like if I kind of am brutally honest, like this is going to take 6 months, this is going to take a year for this kind of weight loss or for this kind of build out, then sometimes they don't hire me. But I would rather them know in the beginning what it's going to take to actually achieve this goal in a realistic fashion, because I won't settle my standards for doing like a crash diet or, you know, like I was just on a call the other day and they were like, "Oh, can I do it in this amount of months?" And I'm like, "You have 50 pounds to lose. Like you can't realistically do a sustainable method to be ready in July." So, I kind of gave them like the rundown of that. And I think that knowing that these things are going to, you're just going to have to like have different seasons of growing, cutting. A lot of people think that they just need to hire you for the cut and that's all you're there for, especially beginners. And just understanding that long-term success, like what that means, and then that the reverse diet and the post show is going to be even more important sometimes for people to have somebody to, go through this with. It's a hard sell on sometimes, like with competitors, they think, oh, well, if I need 6 months to get ready for the show, then I'm going to buy a 6 month package. And I'm like, well, I'm like, my hardest time was after the show, after, especially after my first one, And so that's my soapbox on that. But the patience key to that is just, you're going to have a lot of patience in this sport, especially if you've never done it.
I think expectations are huge with beginners. And I think one of the biggest things, and this is just maybe a fault of the fitness community or the fitness in general, is novelty. And we're so used to being sold workouts that change every week and variety and switch it up and keep you
Mhm.
interested, where bodybuilding, literally, you do the same core movement
Rinse, repeat.
after day, week after week, month after month. And even though we do change up your programming, you're always going to have those hinge movements, those squats, those presses, those same basic movements are going to build your muscle. And so I think a big thing with expectation too for beginners is that just you might get bored in the gym. That is okay. You need to keep
Yes,
doing these same movements because they're what works in bodybuilding.
good point.
Our
Good point.
last point is self-motivation and accountability. So I'll take the beginners and then you can end with the advanced.
Okay, sounds great.
So a beginner, what we're looking for, someone that learns to build discipline rather than relying on hype or motivation. So like we said, bodybuilding can be very mundane, and especially when your show is a long way off or you're in an improvement season or a build season first before you go into a show. You've got to have those goals and that discipline to stick with it day after day, month after month. And a lot of people like I thrive on that. I love just the grind, the daily grind. And so really ask yourself when you come into a prep or if you really want to have the prep, do you have that discipline already? And maybe even in other areas of your life where you're studying for a test that's maybe next year or something, do you have the discipline to do those things every day when it's not like you have a show in a month and you're under the gun? You're going to be very motivated at that point. So building that discipline before starting a prep or starting, looking at competing is really important. And then that you are able to accept responsibility for progress rather than blaming the plan or the coach. I
Yeah.
think that's huge. The biggest thing is, did you execute the plan perfectly? And if you did, then we can adjust things. But if you didn't, then we don't know. There's so many variables. And so accepting responsibility for when you didn't follow the plan and how we might need to adjust so that it's a little easier for you to follow the plan, or that you're just going to do better and follow the plan before we make adjustments. So an expectation that you can maybe try not to have is that if you didn't make progress that week, but you also didn't follow the plan, we might not change the plan. We want to try and make sure that you're following the plan, and then the next week, if we still didn't make progress, we might adjust it. And then someone who celebrates small wins and remains focused on the long-term goal. So that's why I love that we have that win for the week question in our check-ins on the portal. It's because a lot of the time we're really hard on ourselves, especially as women. And so if the scale didn't go down or we don't think we made progress, it's really important to celebrate those small wins, to find what you did good, to hype yourself up, because you'll keep doing what you're celebrating. So if you're motivating yourself, encouraging yourself, celebrating those things, that will just spiral on to more and more and more, and you'll be more motivated.
Yeah. For advanced, I feel like it's very similar in terms of just being responsible for your own actions. And, you as coaches, we're going to tweak the plan if it's not working and you're executing it perfectly, like you said. So be really honest with yourself. Are you actually checking every single box and making sure that if you are doing that, then from there, allow your coach to make the adjustments. Don't be like me, where I'm going to be totally transparent. I've done this before where I get impatient and then I like start doing my own cuts. And I think that's probably like a flaw of me being a coach because I know too much. It's like I'll try to like start, I won't be having to change and then I'll like add cardio or like I'll start cutting my food and try not to do that. Try not to be like me. Because I've done that before and I've been called out on it. Like my coach at the time, she was like, I know you're a coach, but like, please just follow this. Trust me that I will, make those changes. So I think that's the biggest thing with advanced people. Sometimes you like know too much, where just rely on, the discipline, the daily actions, the execution. And then if something's not working, if your coach isn't making changes and you're not making changes, then from there you can reevaluate that situation. But try to stay patient with it. Try not to over course correct on your own before that needs to happen. So, with that, I know that just some closing thoughts. I know you were talking about, which I think that you do a really good job of this. And we were kind of talking offline. I just feel like you do a really good job with your clients that are new and just making sure they navigate the waters and all that. Do you care to like elaborate on some of the stuff that I feel like detail wise that I think newbies maybe need, um, like on that standpoint from a coach's perspective?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for someone that comes in totally new to bodybuilding is almost just the last point that we were making. The plan, when we give you the plan, it is so important to be super precise. And almost like if you're not a perfectionist, naturally, you have to kind of take on that role when it's in prep.
Hmm.
Because when we make if you're following the plan exactly, and a big thing with this is weighing out your food, um, hitting your water and hitting your steps to a T, managing your stress, all of those things. If you're doing that perfectly, we can make a tiny little tweak to your program and it makes so much of a difference. And it
Yes.
actually makes your prep so much easier. So, especially when you're like 12 weeks out, 16 weeks out, you can kind of be like, have this attitude of, well, I'll be good enough. Or if I mess up one day, it's fine. I've got time to make it up. But really getting into I need to be super precise. I need to be weighing. I need to be measuring. I need to be hitting every single one of these things every single day. That way, it's going to make your entire prep so much easier.
Yeah, it's a really good point because as coaches, we have so many tools in our toolbox that we can use. We can add cardio, we can cut calories, we can add steps, we can do all these little things. And I'm very scientific when I go to adjustments with clients. I try to just isolate one variable a week. So then I know, like, okay, if this variable is not having an impact, then we need to try a different variable the next week. But in order to like have that data for the week, we need to see like, okay, this changed to this variable, like it gave us XYZ outcome. And so when more than one variable gets tinkered with, then it makes it hard, like you said. Yeah. So just try to, keep your variables so that your coach can kind of do that scientific experiment on you where they try to slightly, get your deficit to a point where you're going to still maintain muscle, but you're also going to lose body fat and things like that. And so,
And
um,
I just want to say too, a point on your coaching, since you were making a good point of mine. Thank you. But I love, and this is, I mean, you created Glam Girl, so this is all Amy, but in the Glam Girl team, and when you join, you have so many resources as a new, like totally novice competitor. If this is your first competition, there's so many little details besides just training, nutrition, cardio. There's so much more to a bikini prep. There's skin health and prep. There's jewelry. There's nails. I remember you telling me exactly how to get my nails done and what I needed to have. There's like booking your makeup artist and your hair. And if you need to have extensions, look, I have super long hair and I still have had extensions. Like you need a coach that knows the ins and outs of a stage show and also can prepare you for what is going to happen on show day. And just like we said with advanced competitors being able to handle changes with grace and poise and not stress out, you need to be able to have a coach that prepares you for those changes. Like if you are on show day and your tanning time gets delayed, that should not ruin your whole entire day and cause a crying fit. Like you should be able to make those adjustments, let your coach know, we'll adjust your meals, all those things, because those things can happen and they're very stressful. And so we have guides, we have posing handbooks, we have so much, so many resources that you are attentive to that people might not be thinking of when they're shopping for a coach. So kudos for that.
Thank
And
you. As my heart hands.
yes, when you join the Glam Girl team, just know that there are other coaches that do this too, I'm sure, but it is so much more than just nutrition and exercise programming and, a prep. We cover all of those details and answer all of those questions and give you so much education and information just in the portal, but also just from your coaching and your posing seminars and your workshops and everything. So,
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to say really quick too, because I don't even think we hit on this, but we had our workshop
oh yeah.
on the 22nd, and I just wanted to thank everybody that came. And you did an awesome glute workout. Got such great feedback on that. It was so nice to have, like a wellness group of Fit Model and a Bikini with the posing and Marissa and Savannah and um, like the R&R class was amazing. And that myofascial release with the cork balls and like tennis balls and lacrosse balls. And I felt like I got an hour massage. I took the class with it. And then Celeste was amazing in the afternoon. So, yeah, thank you everyone that was a part of it. I felt like it was a really special experience to be able to bring those people to Kansas City. And I appreciate everybody that came from far away and all of that. So, yeah, it was really fun. We'll have to have more events like that in the future. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you want to leave us a question for us to answer, like Tammy did, you can find us on Instagram at Prep Life Podcast or at Glam Girl Bikini. And if you would like to apply for coaching, if you want to be our ideal client, whether you're a beginner or an advanced competitor, you can go to glamgirlbikini.com and hit the Get Started button and apply for coaching with either one of us. Thanks for listening, guys.